Buying these players could help you win your fantasy football championship or save your entire season. Let's start with Bucky Irving. Bucky is a guy that's a luxury buy, okay? He's going to be a guy that if you're 5-0 after this week, if you're 4-1 after this week, you're probably looking at Bucky like, yeah, I can probably afford this. Even as a 3-2 team myself, I don't think I could necessarily swing Bucky Irving if he's going to miss 2 more weeks. And the reports are he's definitely going to miss next week. It's a matter of whether he comes back the week after that or not. The bye week is in week 9 for him, and so at that point, you're talking 2 to 3 games before his bye week. So you are going to have, potentially if you trade for Bucky this week, you're going to be without him for 3 weeks. But that's also why Bucky owners, especially Bucky owners who don't have 3 or more wins, are going to be selling Bucky Irving at a pretty low price at this point. And he's not going to go with the prices you're seeing on the Flock site in the rankings and the rest of season rankings, because realistically, everybody on the Flock site is still being pretty, generous with his ranking in the sense that they've moved him down because he might miss time, but they know what he is because he's the running back 10 coming into this week's games. And, he's around guys that, if you just drop a little bit down low for Bucky Irving and trade some of these guys for him, like you are only 4 spots away from Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker, Cam Scadaboo, and Chuba Hubbard. So realistically, what this opportunity is if you have a fantasy football team that has a good record, where you have the depth to live without Bucky for a couple weeks, or you have Rachaad White potentially on your team, or you just have enough guys to plug in, Bucky Irving's a good buy for you because you're going to get him at prices cheaper than running back 10 prices. When in reality, he's probably, when he comes back, it's going to be the running back 10. Or higher. I think he could be higher at this point. And I'm not going to buy any of Rachaad White cutting into that workload this week. Obviously, Rachaad White was fantastic. But Bucky Irving is on a different level when he's playing. Bucky Irving, 14, 18, 13, and 25 points in his first 4 weeks. And again, 4, 6, 4, and 5 targets in those weeks as well. He actually had 102 receiving yards against Philadelphia. 102. So with Bucky, that offense continues to hum. He's going to be a very valuable guy at the end of the season. He has a sprained foot, and he also has a shoulder injury. Evidently, the shoulder injury is worse. This is a classic buy low on an injured player if you have the resources to do it or if you have the record to do it. And those are the main things that you're going to need. But with Bucky, again, if you can send any of those lower tier running back plus for Bucky Irving, or if you can even just get him at a decent value compared to where he's ranked in the overall rankings, and you can drop down into the 30s and trade for somebody who the rest of us creators have ranked in the 20s rest of the season, I think you're getting a good deal there. And again, it's just that is the luxury of being a team that has started the season well. You can invest in these guys who are buy lows because of injury, because teams get desperate and stash him for when it counts, the playoffs. Bucky Irving's going to be back for the playoffs, and if you buy him now, he could end up winning you a fantasy football championship if you go get him.
A lot of trades involving Quinshon Judkins, trade questions that we've been answering on the site over this last week. And a lot of them have had to do with like upgrades from Quinshon Judkins. And my question to you would just be why? Like, why do we need to upgrade from Quinshon Judkins at this point, unless you're getting like a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Bijan Robinson? Because at this point, what really is the production difference between a guy like Judkins and a guy like who like an Ashton Jency, a rookie in that range, or a Breece Hall, or just a ton of running backs kind of in that same tier, or even just a tier above, who are maybe in better offenses. But a guy like Judkins, this is a question that I think a lot of people had, and it was, what is Judkins going to do when he doesn't score a touchdown? Because he's kind of had more productive days, but not like crazy productive days when he's gotten goal line carries. Well, folks, you just answered that question. 13 points against Minnesota, 110 yards. His volume has gone up ever since he started playing for Cleveland, starting in week 2 against Baltimore. 10, 18, 21, now 23 carries against Minnesota. And he looks very efficient, very solid with his opportunity. Again, in an offense where you can't really rely on anything else other than the run game there and the volume that you're going to consistently see from Judkins. I think it's kind of the cute move for a lot of people to quote unquote sell high on Judkins because they invested in him so low preseason that now it's like, oh, now I can just get an upgrade from him. Maybe he's just going to be a low-end running back 1 rest of the season. Like maybe that's just what he's going to be. Maybe he's just capable of maintaining this volume. And I'm telling you that he is, because he's being utilized like it. And he has plenty of solid matchups from here on out to continue and maintain this production. You're talking about a floor for Quinshon that is 12 points. He has a 12-point floor with this volume, and now a ceiling where if he gets a couple of touchdowns, he's scoring 25 to 30 points. Look, you might have people in their league that think it's, not sexy to have Quinshon Judkins on their team. I'll tell you what's sexy is fantasy points. And you're going to get that from Quinshon here on out, and the floor is just undeniably so high.
We do have our rest of season rankings that we have been updating so far early this week that you can take a look at if you'd like to see where we have these guys ranked and where experts have them ranked over on the site. You can also plug your team into the My Teams tool we have on the site and see where you rank after 5 weeks, no matter what your record is, how you project rest of the season. It's completely free. Check out the link below, create an account with code domain. You can use all of our free tools and see our rankings for rest of the season, but let's get back to it. This is going to be dicey for old Nate sitting next to me because he just can't wrap his brain around it. But Nathan, how do you feel about Derrick Henry right now? As a Derrick Henry owner, how do you feel about him?
Miserable. Absolutely miserable.
Every single Derrick Henry owner feels like this right now.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, his 4-game stretch here of 2, 10, 7, and 9 points, his rest of the season is going to be better than that. And if it's not...
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure. And even if I'm wrong, you're going to buy into Derrick Henry at a price where the upside is league winning. The Ravens are going to be better from yes, the Ravens are going to be playing from behind a lot and passing the ball a lot, and I understand that. But it's not going to be every game. I mean, they have played Buffalo, Detroit, and Kansas City in their first 3 games with Lamar Jackson. The game without Lamar Jackson, I mean, I think they would have been well in this game against Houston with Lamar Jackson. But after the bye week, you've got Chicago, you've got Miami, you've got Minnesota, you've got Cleveland again, you've got the Jets, you've got Cincinnati Bengals. The schedule gets much better for a game script for Derrick Henry where he could end up running the ball more in this offense. But again, it's more about taking advantage of that right there, that face. That's the face you look for.
But here's the thing. Why not wait 2 more weeks? Because they've got the Rams, which is a very good defense, and then you've got a bye.
I mean, you very well could, but I think a lot of people are looking at Derrick Henry and are like, well, the next 2 weeks are the Rams and the bye. I've got to get him off my team right now because of that. Like he could kill me if I hold him for 2 weeks. Because you're going to have a lot of Derrick Henry teams with where he was being drafted that are in a very bad situation because of it. Not everybody killed their draft and drafted Judkins the 5th like Nathan. So with that, I think now is the time to pounce. And again, I think you're going to get him at very cheap prices. I think in casual leagues, in home leagues, in leagues where all people see with Derrick Henry is the fact that he's scored 28 points in the last 4 weeks total. I think once people, kind of grasp that, you're going to have people selling low. And even if you don't get a deal done for Derrick Henry, because he's not worth paying Derrick Henry prices what we're at the beginning of the season, we're not worth paying those prices. But if you get him cheap, and let's define cheap right now, because I've still got Derrick Henry ranked as a top 16 running back rest of the season, but realistically, I had to move Kyron over him, and Genty, and ETN at this point. And so, I've still got him ahead of Kamara, Brees, Walker, but all in the same tier, though. And so, but I'm thinking if you can get like anybody in the C tier here in my rankings here, like Trey Benson, Jordan Mason, Jalen Warren, Chase Brown, J.K. Dobbins, Travion, RJ Harvey plus Montgomery, any of these guys, like I'm not even thinking about it. Like I will take my shot
in that price range now.
But again, that's only 1 tier below where he's ranked at this point for most people. Because I have him ranked at 16 and I'm still being aggressive with Derrick Henry. Most people, I mean, he's not a top 24 running back at this point in the season. He was the running back 22 coming into this week. He's going to be a running back 3 after this week. The prices you're going to see for Derrick Henry in the next couple weeks are going to be extremely low. Derrick Henry is somebody where if you buy him that low, if you miss, darn, but it shouldn't kill your fantasy football team. But if you hit, and if Derrick Henry does what I suspect he still could do this season, it will win you a fantasy football championship. And a lot of people are going to be like, ew, no, I'm not buying Derrick Henry anyways. And that's exactly why he's a buy. Because the public perception on Derrick Henry right now is as low as I've seen it since... I don't remember, actually. I think since he was in 2017, maybe. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen people this low on Derrick Henry. And if there's one thing that we should have learned about Derrick Henry at this point, it's that when you doubt Derrick Henry, he reminds you that he's the king. I'm going to bet he's going to do it again. And again, I think that the prices you can get him at this week are going to be extremely cheap. I'm taking advantage. I'm going to go try to buy him.
So Courtland Sutton is a guy that I really feel good about at wide receiver. This is another, honestly, kind of like Judkins type argument where it's like, why are we trying to up tier from Courtland Sutton, honestly, unless you're getting like an elite top tier guy. Courtland Sutton is a wide receiver 1, and he should be a wide receiver 1 rest of season. 18, 23, 19, and 17 points aside from the dud game against Indy in week 2. The target volume has been so consistent. 10 targets again this week against Philadelphia's secondary. Of all the weeks you would expect him to have a down day, it would have been against Philly. And no, he has a great day, 17 points with no touchdowns. This was his first game without a touchdown where he was very productive, and he had 17 points. Like, this is sustainable with this target volume. He is a high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1. And right now with the trades that you can get him for, again, this is not going to apply to every single league. It might not be applied to your genius league, but a lot of home leagues, a lot of normal leagues are just kind of looking at Sutton. They're like, yeah, I mean, he's a guy that they're willing to deal off of their roster for what is a pretty palatable price, honestly, right now. And when you're looking at the expert rankings at the moment on the sites and where Courtland Sutton is being ranked among wide receivers, it's right there by Tet McMillan, A.J. Brown, George Pickens. That is a wide receiver 2, A.J. Brown in an offense that hates passing the ball, Tet McMillan, who can't get the ball in the end zone. I mean, he looks great. Devontae Adams is a wide receiver 2. Marvin Harrison is super inconsistent. Zay Flowers has Lamar Jackson injured. Like, why are we not preferring Courtland Sutton in that same tier as Garrett Wilson and Rashee Rice and Emeka Egbuka right now? He's a wide receiver 1 in an offense that is totally comfortable throwing the ball, and there's no one else really there to contend with targets. I know people were scared about Troy Franklin there for a week. That was really cute, but in reality, Sutton is the alpha there, and he's a very, very good alpha in a solid offense that is going to consistently get the ball to him here, just like they did in the latter half of last season, and like you're seeing it continue on this year. Again, a wide receiver at 15 prices when I think he should be priced as a top 12 wide receiver, honestly, rest of the season. That's a good enough discount where it's like, yeah, I would just, honestly, I'd pivot to Sutton I would pivot from Adams to Courtland Sutton.
I moved off of Quentin Johnson last week in the Flock League, essentially for Rashee Rice. And the reason I did it was because I was looking at Quentin Johnson's, 4-game stretch here. And I was like, I don't know if from a public perception, also coming off a week where he had 13 targets, 8 receptions and a touchdown. I'm like, this is probably his ceiling in terms of how people are going to value him rest of the season. Now, there is always the chance he continues to be a wide receiver 1 in a top 5 wide receiver in the season. And I just look like an idiot for it. But this week against Washington, his trade value dropped significantly. He had 6.9 points, which is nice, but 4 targets, 4 receptions for 40 yards, and it came at the hands of Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen. And it's just a Chargers offense where, look, I mean, there's not going to be 3 productive wide receivers there every week. There's always going to be an odd man out. And for the first pretty much 4 weeks, the odd man out was Ladd. But today, Ladd kind of came back, and Quentin Johnson didn't have a touchdown. He had his lowest target volume of the season, and he was the odd man out today. I don't think it's the last time he'll be the odd man out. But here's what I do know. Well, I don't necessarily think, based on what I've been reading so far, even during this video right now, I don't think the Amari Hampton injury is going to be serious enough for him to go on IR or anything. But I think he misses a week or 2. And realistically, I think people are probably going to look at this week's people have such a short leash with Quentin Johnston. And the reason for that is, number 1, he's burned a lot of people in the past. Mm-hmm. But number 2, he has historically been one of the most hated fantasy players I've ever seen. Just because of where he was picked and the expectations and the fact that he didn't do anything at all. People still in the back of their minds think that QJ is a bust. And what we've seen so far this season is far from bust material from Quentin Johnston. He really should have had 9 points in this game, had a fumble. But, I mean, I said this on the Dynasty video, on the Dynasty channel, and I'll say it on this channel as well. I think what QJ is doing is legit. I think there are going to be games where it's tough, and, he has 7 points. And that's rough. But 7 points isn't going to kill you. And the dude has 25-point upside, and now that Hampton's going to be out even for a little bit of time, I don't think the running backs there are going to be productive. I think they're going to throw the ball 45 times. I legitimately think Herbert's going to throw the ball 40 times. So because of that, I think Quentin Johnston's a decent buy low candidate. Now, again, there are going to be some people who are reasonable and say, like I traded Quentin Johnston, but I traded him for Rice. Rice, in my opinion, is a top 10 wide receiver rest season for fantasy football. That's just my opinion. It's hot take, but whatever. I mean, look, I would trade him for that, but I still think there are going to be a lot of people who are smart and be like, yeah, I'm not trading him unless I get a top 15 wide receiver, top 12 wide receiver. That's smart. But I think there's going to be some people that are like, yeah, QJ, I think the run is over. I think the magic's over. I think his Linsanity run is over, and I'm just going to trade him now. And realistically, I think he's probably a top 20 wide receiver rest of the season still. And so I think you buy. I think you go try to send trades for Quentin Johnston because, again, I think people were kind of just waiting to see anything negative from him to say, okay, now this is the Quentin Johnson we know. We can move him back down our rankings. But I'm not buying it. I mean, at this point, I'm just going to look at the expert consensus rankings on the site here because, he's going around. He's pretty volatile, honestly. He's going around a lot of different guys that I think you still could trade away for him this week, and I would be very happy with it. But right now, he's ranked 3 spots ahead of Chris Olave. Ricky Pearsall's right behind him. Ladd McConkey's right on his heels. You got guys like Jamison Williams, Michael Pittman in that next year, and Pittman's been great, obviously Jalen Waddle's going to be moving up there. But you don't have to go too far beyond Quentin Johnston's rankings to find guys that you probably would be comfortable moving for him. And I think after this week, there are going to be a fair amount of Quentin Johnston owners who are like, yeah, I'm ready to cash out. And so, buy him after a down game. I think QJ is legit the rest of the year. Even though I sold him, I believe in QJ. It was very hard for me to sell him, and I only sold him because I believe in Rashee Rice so much. But realistically, I would have been just as fine holding QJ, I think. I think a lot of people look at today's game as like, oh, QJ's falling back down to earth. I don't think so. I think this is going to be an offense that still throws the ball a lot. QJ still looks good in today's game. He had a bad fumble, but that was it. He's not like, back to old QJ making drops or anything. It's none of that. I'd try to send some trades for him. See if you can get him for wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 prices, because if you can, I think that's a really good deal for QJ.
So in a matchup that really should have been awesome for Woody Marks, he didn't do anything. 2.5 points. This sucks for a lot of people. This sucks for our take because we're like, yeah, if you have a flex spot open for a guy like Woody Marks compared to, a Pacheco, for example, then go ahead and just go with Woody Marks this week. And it ended up not looking great. And I will say in the Flock League, I am somewhat thankful because I was going up against Woody Marks. And it was nice to see him not do anything. But look, this is a come back down to earth week in a matchup that really should have been friendly for Woody Marks against the Baltimore Ravens defense, which hasn't been able to stop anyone. And they didn't today, but that was clearly in the passing game more than anything. Nick Chubb also was the one that got the touchdown in the red zone this week as opposed to Marks last week. Nick Chubb's usage is going to be Nick Chubb's usage. And that's kind of what I've landed on here with Marks' outlook. And I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Marks was a one-hit wonder, a one-week wonder. He's not ever going to do this again. Will he ever score 27 points again? I don't know. But can he score 15 or more? I still think he has the ability and the upside to do that because Nick Chubb's usage did not increase despite Marks going down a little bit and not producing as much this week. Woody Marks still had the nod in terms of snap share over Nick Chubb. He still got a lot of late down work. He got all the 2-minute work. And compared to Nick Chubb. Now, what you want to note here is that Dameon Pierce actually got usage. That was more towards the end of the game when they were just absolutely dominating and throwing other guys in there to give them chances. I do think this is a 2-back backfield with Marks and Chubb for the foreseeable future. Marks does have a more versatile skill set than a guy like Dameon Pierce does, so I'm not really worried about him coming in and making it a 3-way split. And Chubb, again, based on what we've seen over 5 weeks with Chubb's volume, he gets anywhere from 10 to 14 carries. And he's not going to get anything more than that. If he gets a touchdown, it's going to suck for a guy like Woody Marks. But you still have a nice upside shot on a weekly basis with Marks from here on out, in my opinion, in situations that aren't going to be as ideal for the passing game, like the Baltimore matchup. So when you're looking at his rest of season outlook in the rankings right now, Woody Marks kind of right around RJ Harvey, Trey Benson, Charbonnet, Swift, those types of guys. You are going to see Marks fall down rankings quite a bit this week. And obviously the valuation that he's going to carry in your league is going to go down quite a bit as well. If you can give up Bashal Tutin to get Woody Marks, I would do that. If you can give up Ramondre Stevenson or Michael Carter to get Woody Marks, I would absolutely do that. Kind of all these backups, some of these guys coming back, Tyron Tracy. If someone wants to take the shot on Tyron Tracy instead of Woody Marks, then when Tracy comes back healthy, I would rather just stick with Woody Marks here. With Tyjae Spears honestly coming back healthy, if someone's high on him or someone's still high on Tony Pollard, even though we're not super high on him now that Spears is back, and that's going to be a split backfield as well. If you could get Marks plus, again, take some shots here for a guy that is still objectively in a better offense. I think Marks will be okay. Again, he's not going to have 27 points every single week. He's going to have some dud weeks because he will be splitting a backfield with Nick Chubb. But I don't think it's going to get any worse than what you saw against Baltimore, honestly, because he showed enough flashes in the matchup against Tennessee, and his skill set is good enough for them to maintain his opportunity there, which is about half of the snap share.
So Calvin Ridley finally had a decent week this week. And you might say, why would you buy Calvin Ridley after he had 18 points in fantasy? Because I think a lot of Calvin Ridley owners are going to be looking at this perfect, I have my sell window, he's gone. Because he didn't do anything for the first 4 weeks. Did nothing for your fantasy football team. And Calvin Ridley's, I won't spend a ton of time on this one. If you don't want to buy Calvin Ridley, I don't blame you. But last week, I mentioned this, Kyle, one of our research guys, he said, hey, you should tell people to buy Calvin Ridley. And we're like, yeah, we're not doing that. And Calvin Ridley, you could have bought him and it would have looked good. The one thing to note about Calvin Ridley is his percentage of offensive snaps in this game actually continued to be below 75%. And so he's actually on the field a little bit less. He just did better today from a production standpoint, had 10 targets, had 5 receptions, had over 100 yards receiving. But with Ridley, I mean, again, there's not a ton of other guys there outside of Alec Iomanner. He had 4 targets today. That's what he's had all season. Chimere DK had 5. Tyler Lockett had 4. And it was Ridley that led the way. And so, look, I think you can get Ridley for nothing. I think you can legitimately get him for free. I don't think that people are going to charge you high prices at all for Ridley after 1 week. And I think a lot of Ridley owners are going to be trying to sell high. I think it's probably worth taking a shot because there's a chance he ends up as somebody you can stream in your flex spot if you end up having bye weeks or injuries or things like that. And it gets brutal. It's getting brutal with injuries and bye weeks already. When there's 4 teams on bye, it's like, oh my gosh, who do I start? Mm-hmm. And so people kind of take for granted these veteran wide receivers who, he hasn't done anything yet this year except for this week. But even if he's like a 10-point per game guy, that has value, especially in 12-team or deeper fantasy football leagues. And so, again, I'm not even going to give you prices here for Calvin Ridley because I think you can get him so cheap. Like move guys that you couldn't even put in your starting lineup or think about putting in your starting lineup for him. Try to move him for fab or something like that, or maybe like a bad player plus fab or something. But with Ridley, I think if somebody wants to try to get on him for nothing because he had a good week, then maybe send a trade offer for him.
So J.K. Dobbins is going to be our last guy here. Again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on him either because, look, this just might be a guy that's going to maintain his workload this season. And while he's going to split snap share with RJ Harvey is just looking to be kind of the scat back, change of pace back there. And I think this is a question that not a lot of us have asked ourselves, and that is, what if we've just been wrong about RJ Harvey taking over the backfield this year? And what if J.K. Dobbins just maintains it? I mean, he gets all the goal line carries, Dobbins does, all 3 today. Early down work, it's not even close. 75% of it's going to Dobbins. Total plays, half of it goes to Dobbins. The rest of it is a split between Harvey, Beatty, and some miscellaneous backs.
No, what I want to say real quick.
He's the main guy there.
Beatty took all of the third down snaps. And the passing down snaps, my bad. Yep. 2-minute drill was all Beatty. Third down, 8-2-1 in favor of Beatty. Beatty had more relevant snaps today than Dobbins did.
Yeah, and I think our takeaway here, you mean than Harvey?
Than Harvey did. Yeah.
And I think our takeaway here is Dobbins right now is being priced like he's going to get this backfield stolen by RJ Harvey
and he's a starter
in the near future. And he's putting up 15-plus points every single week. So at that price point, you can't get that level of production for the price point that you're getting Dobbins right now. So it's like, you take on that risk. I just mentioned Woody Marks, where that's going to be a split backfield. Like, this is one where I would trade a guy like Woody Marks for J.K. Dobbins if you could swing it. I would trade a guy like Tony Pollard for J.K. Dobbins at this point. Yes. I would trade Jordan Mason for J.K. Dobbins at this point because none of those guys have really, really solidified backfields where they're going to get this constant opportunity all the time from here on out for the rest of the season. They're all in question. So at this point, just bet on the guy that's the most consistent producer. I
mean, again, the sexy thing for us to do and for every creator to do is like, oh, it's RJ Harvey time. Like, legitimately, there wasn't a single creator in fantasy football that didn't tell you, hey, sell J.K. Dobbins now and buy RJ Harvey before it happens.
Yeah.
It's not happened. And we'll be the realistic ones here. It might not.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, I'm not going to tell you what I want to happen. I'm not going to tell you what we thought would happen because we thought Harvey would get the role.
Yep.
What it looks like is happening is Sean Payton's role.
Dobbins just looks good. So,
and why would they move away from him at this point? In my opinion. So, do us a huge favor. If you enjoy the video, please drop a like. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're here watching the video, you're part of the family. If you subscribe, it helps Nathan and I. It helps support the channel as well. And we've got some free tools for you. Again, free rankings, free rest rankings, weekly rankings, free My Teams tool, free trade calculator. If you create an account with code DOMAIN at the link below, you can get all that for free. But we appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.